If you work hard, strive, and still never prosper, there is a spiritual reason. A single Hebrew word determines whether money flows or stagnates in your life. There is a single word in Hebrew, ancient, powerful, encoded in the Torah scrolls, that determines whether you will live in abundance or scarcity. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not intelligence or effort. It is a word that operates silently, like an invisible spiritual key, opening or closing the celestial gates of your prosperity. I spent over 40 years in the financial markets, building companies, advising millionaires, and studying the ancient secrets of the Torah and Kabbalah. And I can tell you with complete certainty, the difference between a man who prospers and a man who struggles is not in their resume. It is on a spiritual frequency activated by that Hebrew word. Bankers don't know that word. Economists ignore this word. Even modern rabbis sometimes forget the true power of this word. But the ancients knew, and they left it on record. When you understand this word, when you pronounce it correctly, when you experience its profound meaning, something changes in the energy field around you. Opportunities are starting to appear. The right people cross your path. Business deals that seemed impossible are unlocked. But when you ignore that word, when you violate it without realizing it, it's as if an invisible door closes in your financial life. You work twice as hard and get half the pay. You chase after money, but it slips through your fingers. You feel like there's a blockage, a curse, something preventing you from rising. And you're right. It exists. But today, if you stay with me until the end, I'll reveal it to you. What is this sacred Hebrew word? Because she decides her level of prosperity, how to pronounce it in a way that activates financial blessings in your life. It's a practical 30-day ritual that can break any written poverty decree against you. This is not theory. It's not empty mysticism. It is wisdom tested for millennia, proven in the real lives of ordinary men and women who went from struggle to true abundance. Now tell me, are you ready to discover the word that can change your financial destiny forever? Let me ask you a direct question, from the heart. When you look at your financial life today, the bills, the postponed dreams, the plans that never get off the ground, what is the overwhelming feeling you experience? Is it the frustration of working so hard and earning so little? Is it shameful not being able to give your best to the people you love? Or is it that silent emptiness of feeling that, no matter what you do, you'll never truly thrive? If you feel that there is something spiritual blocking your prosperity, something that goes beyond economics and the market, then you are in a sacred place. Subscribe to this channel now. Join this community of seekers, of warriors of light, and walk with me on this ancient journey of wisdom, pure wealth, and divine blessing. We're not just here to make money. We're here to unlock the sacred purpose of abundance. In ancient times, before banks, before modern currencies, before any financial system as we know it today, there was a people who understood something profound about prosperity. They knew that wealth doesn't begin in the hands of the beholder. It starts in the mouth. In Hebrew, the language of creation, the language God used to form the heavens and the earth, each word is much more than just sound. Every word is living energy. Each word carries code, power, decree. And among all the Hebrew words associated with prosperity, there is one that stands out as the absolute queen. This word is written in the blessings of Abraham. She appears in the Psalms of David. It echoes the promises of the Torah. It is the secret foundation of all true wealth. This word is Baruch, blessed. Baruch means blessed, but that's not all. In deep Hebrew, Baruch comes from the root BRK, which also means kneel to bend, to recognize something bigger than yourself. Open a reception channel. Baruch is not just a word you speak. It's a spiritual stance that you adopt. When you say Baruch, you are declaring to the universe, I recognize that everything I have comes from a greater source. I bow before the Creator. I open myself to receiving, but with humility. And this is exactly where 90% of people go wrong. They crave prosperity, but they live as if they were the source of it. They want a blessing, but they won't bow down. They crave abundance, but operate on pride, arrogance, and the illusion of self-sufficiency. And when you operate like that, the sky closes in. Because Baruch, the frequency of blessing, only works in humility. The Torah says, Baruch or Adonai, blessed are you, Eternal One. Notice, the blessing doesn't begin by saying, I am blessed. The blessing begins by recognizing that God is the source of all blessing. This is the first fatal mistake people make when seeking prosperity. They chase after methods, techniques, and magic formulas for getting rich. but they forget to connect with the source. It's like trying to fill a glass without turning on the tap. When you truly pronounce Baruch, not just with your mouth, but with your heart, you are activating a frequency of spiritual reception. Are you saying, I am not the source of my wealth, I am a channel. And the more I acknowledge the source, the more the source can flow through me. This is the secret that spiritual billionaires understand and spiritually poor people ignore. In Kabbalah, there is a concept called Shefa, divine flow. Shefa is the energy of abundance that descends from the higher realms to our material world. But this flow doesn't automatically affect everyone. He needs an open channel, a prepared vessel. The word Baruch is the sound that opens this channel. Why? Because Baruch contains 3 sacred letters. Bet B represents the house, the vessel, the place where the blessing dwells. Resh R represents the head, the higher consciousness. Kaf, KH, represents the open palm of the hand ready to receive. When you combine these 3 letters, you create a perfect spiritual vessel to receive prosperity. But if you live in pride, complaining, and ingratitude, you break the vase, and even if heaven sends the blessing, it has nowhere to stay. It slips away, disappears, never solidifies. Kabbalists teach, he who does not know how to say Baruch from the heart does not know how to receive abundance in a sustainable way. Now for the part that cuts deep. False prosperity stems from arrogance. True prosperity comes from Baruch. Let me explain. There are people who make a lot of money operating on the energy of arrogance. They step on others. They deceive. They exploit. They accumulate wealth through blood, lies, and manipulation. These people may even become rich for a while, but they never have peace, and in the end, their wealth turns to ashes. Why? Because money without Baruch is cursed money. The Torah teaches that when you earn money without acknowledging the source, you are in fact stealing the blessing, and stolen wealth never lasts. Baruch, on the other hand, creates clean prosperity. When you prosper by acknowledging God, when you use your money to honor sacred principles, when you share, help, donate, bless others, you enter a cycle of divine multiplication. This is the secret code. The more you live in the energy of Baruch, the more heaven bestows great riches upon you. Now for the practical part. If you want Baruch, that sacred word, to begin working in your financial life, do the following. Daily ritual for activating Baruch. Every morning, before picking up my phone, before even thinking about work, remain silent for 30 seconds. Place your hand on your chest. Say in a low voice, Baruch Atah Adonai, source of all prosperity. I acknowledge that everything I have comes from you. Open the channels of abundance into my life. Before any negotiation, interview, or important meeting, take 3 deep breaths. He whispers mentally, Baruch. Visualize a golden light descending upon you. Whenever you receive money, salary, paycheck, gift, do not store immediately. Hold the money in your hands for a few seconds. Say, Baruch, I honor the source of this provision. Then set aside a small portion for charity or an act of kindness. This simple ritual repositions your consciousness from greed to gratitude. And gratitude is the most powerful magnet for prosperity that exists. Now, 3 true stories. A man, a woman, a family. 3 destinies transformed by the word Baruch. The businessman who was on the verge of bankruptcy. Enrique owned a small technology company. In the early years, everything grew quickly. But then it started to malfunction. Customers were disappearing. Projects were being canceled. The numbers didn't add up. He worked 16 hours a day, but the money wasn't coming in. I was about to close the doors. One day, his elderly aunt, who was very religious, visited him. She saw the despair in his eyes and asked, When was the last time you thanked God for what you have? Enrique got angry. Thank you? Why, I built this myself. The aunt shook her head and said, That's the problem, my son. You've forgotten where the strength in your hands comes from. You stopped saying Baruch. That phrase kept hammering in his mind. That night, desperate, he decided to try. He knelt on the floor of the empty office and said for the first time in years, Baruch or Adonai, I am not the source. It is you. Help me. The next day, a longtime client called out of the blue with a big project. The following week, an investor appeared. Within 2 months, the company was back on its feet. Enrique says today, I thought Baruch was just a religious word. I discovered that it is the key that unlocks the door to true prosperity. The woman who lived in a cycle of lack. Juliana era designer freelancer. Talented, but always broke. Every month was the same drama. Money trickling in, overdue bills, suffocating anxiety. She complained about everything, of customers, of the market, of the economy, of life. A friend invited her to a Torah study group. There she heard for the first time about Baruch, the word of blessing. The rabbi explained, "Those who constantly complain block the flow of Shefa. He who lives giving thanks opens the heavens." Juliana laughed at first. Thankful for what? I barely have enough money to eat. But something inside her decided to try. She started a gratitude journal. Every day she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for. And every time she received any payment, no matter how small, she would say aloud, "Baruch, thank you, God." In the first few days, nothing changed, but she continued. After 3 weeks, something began to change. Not in the money, but in her. She felt lighter, more creative, more confident. And then the money started to come in. New customers, indications, better projects with fair pay. In 6 months, Juliana tripled her income. She says today, Baruch is not magic. It's a reconnection with the source, and when you reconnect, everything changes. The family that learned to thrive together. A family was at war, unemployed father, stressed mother, children sensing the tension, arguments about money every day, heavy atmosphere, hopelessness. A neighbor noticed the situation and invited them to a prayer meeting at his house. There, they heard about Baruch. The host suggested, "What if you started blessing one another? What if, instead of fighting over what you lack, you all came together to be grateful for the little you have?" The idea seemed ridiculous at first, but they were so desperate that they agreed to try. Every night before going to sleep, the whole family would gather. Each person mentioned something they were grateful for that day, and together they said, Baruch. In the first few days it was difficult, but gradually the atmosphere of the house changed. Less fighting, more unity, more hope. In less than a month, the father got a job. 3 months later, the mother started a small business at home. A year later, they were stable, paying their bills on time and at peace. They say, Baruch did not bring magic money. It brought a change in energy. And when the energy changes, life changes. But I'm not Jewish. Does that word work for me? Baruch is not exclusive to one religion. It is a universal spiritual principle. The energy of recognition, gratitude, and humility before the source works for any human being of any faith. Whether you are Christian, Muslim, or of any other spiritual tradition, you can adapt. The important thing is not the exact language. What matters is the attitude of the heart. Baruch is the frequency of blessing, and the blessing does not discriminate. What if I've already tried giving thanks, praying, and nothing has changed? 2 possibilities. You may have expressed gratitude with your mouth, but not with your heart. Mechanical gratitude doesn't activate anything. Baruch demands profound sincerity. You may have expressed gratitude, but you continued living in patterns that block the blessing. Dishonesty, greed, lack of generosity, pride. Baruch alone is not enough. It needs to be accompanied by integrity. I'm afraid I'll never escape scarcity. What if this doesn't work for me? This fear is real. But let me tell you a hard truth. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. Baruch is an invitation to change your frequency. You don't have to believe blindly. You just need to be willing to try it for 30 days. If in the end you feel that nothing has changed, at least you tried. But if something changes, and it will change, you will have discovered the missing key in your life. Now, a deeper revelation. In Kabbalah, it is taught that Baruch not only attracts prosperity, Baruch multiplies prosperity. As, when you say Baruch about something small that you have, you activate the expansive energy upon that thing. Practical example, you have $100 in your wallet. Instead of thinking, that's so little, you hold the money and say, Baruch, I bless this provision. Spiritually, you have just planted a seed of multiplication. Kabbalists call this Birkat Hamazon, a blessing upon food. But the principle works for everything: money, health, relationships, opportunities. The more you bless what you have, the more heaven trusts you to receive more. Advanced practice. Before spending any amount of money, even a small amount, say to yourself, Baruch, may this money circulate with blessings and return multiplied. This changes the energy expenditure from loss to sowing. Now, your sacred commitment. For 30 days, you will experience Baruch's frequency. 30-day challenge. Every morning, wake up and say out loud, Baruch, I am grateful for another day. I acknowledge the source of all things. Before each meal, it doesn't matter what it is, a coffee, a loaf of bread, lunch, say, Baruch, I bless this food. Whenever you receive money, hold hands, say, Baruch, set aside 10% for an act of generosity, donation, help, charity. Before going to sleep, write down 3 things you are grateful for. End with, Baruch. Thank you, source of all blessing. At the end of 30 days, observe your inner peace, your financial opportunities, the quality of the people who appear in your life. You will realize that Baruch is not just a word. It's a frequency that restructures your reality. Now, wherever you are, take a deep breath. Feel the weight you carry. Debt, fear, financial frustrations. I want to release an ancient blessing upon you, not as empty words, but as a spiritual decree written in heaven. Baruch atah. Blessed are you, who have come this far seeking truth. May the word Baruch be tattooed on your heart. May it become the rhythm of your breath, the basis for each decision, the frequency that governs your financial life. May the Eternal open the floodgates of heaven for you and pour out blessings in such measure that there is not enough room to contain them. May everything your hands touch prosper. May your business flourish. May your ideas multiply. May your work be rewarded with justice and abundance. May no debt enslave you. Let no fear paralyze you. May no scarcity humiliate you. May the prosperity that comes to you be pure, blessed, sustainable, generous. May you learn to give as much as you receive. May you become a channel of blessing to others. May your life be a living testament to the power of Baruch. About you, about your home, about your future, I declare, Baruch, go in peace, thrive with purpose, live in the frequency of blessing. Shalom.